just tell us what...
Sorry, Ms. Hasim, I think you referred to 500,000.
500 rand.
500 rand.
Yes.
500 rand, not 500,000 rand.
500 grand is 500,000.
Sorry? Rand.
Oh, 500 rand.
R-A-N-D.
No, we didn't need 500 rand, quite honestly speaking. Remember, it was at a late stage and it was almost done, basically.
So the audio clip, and we could play the audio clip, Chair, but the audio clip refers to 500,000. And what it's suggesting in the audio clip, the transcript has these indistinct in between, so it's not quite complete. 500,000, suggesting that he takes cash, basically, to General Sibiya.
They talk about 500, actually I think it's something like 300,000.
You listened to that audio clip, did you?
Yes, I listened as he was testifying, but obviously I know that the evidence is I believe so much in that thing, which
No.
I don't, and it's not, it's not right.
No. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. I'm not believing in anything. I'm putting to you the evidence that has been placed before this commission. It's only fair to you that you are given an opportunity to respond to this.
I want to respond.
And a straight answer would be benefit you.
Chair, I want to respond by showing the group that was created by my wife with the family and kids. Other kids, I've got 6 kids, all of them adults. They are working. And then this one said, this is what I'll do, this is what I'll do, this is what I'll do to support our brother. And here is it. I don't know if I should just read them into the record or just attach them so that they are seen there. And then you can see even the date from 11 September when my wife started.
Sorry, General, let me stop you. I accept your word for it, Chair. I have no problem with that. I can understand that in a family setting, that's how it works. People contribute. But it doesn't answer this question, which is a response to this evidence about Mr. Matlala saying he came to the party and that he came with cash.
You see, Chair, in all fairness, it is important that when the evidence leader tried to demonstrate that Mr. Matlala came and he contributed to my son's engagement, then I demonstrate that no. Everything that happened there, we carried as a family. Starting from my wife went with a credit card to Spar to buy the grocery for a small number of people that were there. And then others bought cakes, and then we bought this. We didn't need 300,000. We didn't need money from Mr. Matlala. And I quite honestly speaking, I didn't need it. We didn't need it. We didn't ask for it. And then if it was in a sense that is going to bring that amount of money at that point in time, at that late hour, he would have done it maybe in the during the day so that I can use it to spend. But because it was not even, I didn't even invite people. Not even there was no friend of mine, not even one. So I'm demonstrating here that we paid and we carried the cost, and everything that was there, you can see even yourself that no. Here the family were working together in dealing with this whole thing. So please, this thing of the 300,000, I'm throwing it away. I'm rejecting it right away from the onset. Okay.
I'm not going to, it's still not answering. I didn't put it to you that it was for the purposes of the engagement or for paying for that evening. I don't know what it could have been for. I'm just putting to you what Mr. Matlala says. Right. So to say, well, no, we paid for the engagement, we did it in these various ways, doesn't answer the question directly.
Perhaps it does in this sense, and perhaps I'm suggesting that he should move on, Mr.
Yes.
Sim. It answers it in the sense that he denies ever having needed the money. And then, of course, he goes on to give the reason as to why he possibly could not have needed it. But part of that says, I did not need it, I did not receive it. So, in a sense, it does answer it. Perhaps,
okay.
Yes.
I'm happy to move off this. I think we're not going to get...
No, I wasn't hostile. We were not hostile. There was no hostile relationship between me and Mr. Matlala in such a way that I could spell it out in that fashion. To me, remember in that moment, at that time, you didn't know and think of a moment like this one. So it's just something that was happening out of 10.
But why would you then need to, if Mrs. Matlala is there and her friend is there and they say, is it okay? She would like her husband to join. Why do you then need to contact Sergeant Nkosi to ask him to invite Mr. Matlala to make a turn? If all you're doing is saying, yeah, it's fine, if she would like him to join, why not leave it to the wife to communicate with the husband to say, this is where I am?
Remember,
why do you need to contact Sergeant Nkosi to make the arrangement?
Remember that in some instances there's been situations where you find that a wife is invited to a party, but the husband is not necessarily invited to a party. And then the husband cannot just show up because his wife is there. And the fact that maybe also it was to my house and said, look, if it is there, just check with the general whether will he mind or not. But I don't say this is how it happened. But in my case, I was told that Mr. Matlala wants to come and fetch his wife, and so he will be coming down here. I hope you don't mind.
Yes, but that wasn't communicated to you by Mr. Nkosi. That was communicated to you by the people at your house.
Yes.
So once you say to them, I don't mind, why don't you then leave it to them? They can then say, we've spoken to General Sibiya, he's got no problem. And then he comes.
Yes.
Yes.
But I did.
Why did you need to go through Sergeant Nkosi?
Not that I needed to go through Sergeant Nkosi, but at some point I did communicate to Nkosi because I know that he knows Cat, and then I said, no, tell Cat to make house. He mustn't, to make a turn, he mustn't be afraid.
He knows that you know Cat.
We are past that stage. He knows that I know Cat.
Okay. And I'd like to take you just to what Mr. Matlala's version is on this. And that's at file 6. It's also an audio recording. It's the one prior to the one we just listened to. So it's file 6, page 629. Page 629.
629. Thank you.
Okay, so it starts a little earlier. You're free to read from the beginning of the transcript if you wish. It's a discussion about questions regarding Sergeant Nkosi and you. And then it comes round in 629 to the discussion about EFTs, and the male speaker too says he wants something like dates, car that you were using, where's the car, the routes, things like that. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And then 3 lines down, so line 13 on that page, Mr. Matlala says, I was driving a Rolls Royce. I had a Rolls Royce, and then the transcript doesn't capture the rest. And then male speaker 2, what did his son want? And then Mr. Matlala, it was a party, indistinct, when I got to the party, and then indistinct again. And then witness C says, did you withdraw that money? And Mr. Matlala says, yeah, but remember, I will withdraw maybe 500 and then give him 300. Yeah, so I remember, do you want cars or places, etc. So what he was saying here is that he he came to the party. He's saying it seems that he came in a Rolls Royce, for what that's worth, and that he came with money, but he said, I remember I will withdraw maybe 500 rand. I think he probably means more than just 500 rand.
500,000.
Something like that. And then Mr. Matlala also says, I also went to his plot, his townhouse. And then he says, I was driving a Benz. Okay? So that's Mr. Matlala's version from here, just regarding the party. There are other things, but for the moment, what is your response to that?
Chair, I have screenshots of the family group, family meeting, the grouping that we have, and how each one of them were contributing. This one buying this one saying I'll buy this one saying I'll buy the cake, this one I'll bring this, and then I said, okay, I will bring the sped braai. It was just for 20 people. That didn't need even 300,000. My family paid everything 100% for what was going on. So I want to share it, and I want them to also be displayed, because this is a family meeting. I mean, and then I don't know how they can be assisted that they be also shown there. The same way we see this one, let this communication be shown there. It is what it is, then I'll accept it.
I want to be clear about this, because you sent a message to Sergeant Nkosi. You say, ask Cat to make a turn, and he says he'll be there in 30 minutes. And your explanation is you're having a celebration, and there was a request for him to come and join and to be present at the celebrations, right?
Not to be present, because remember...
What does make a turn mean?
He was expected to come, because he had to come fetch his wife. But then they were not sure whether he will be welcomed. That's when I said, ask her to make a turn. How I termed it, maybe, or how I put it, the words, this is how they came at that point in time.
I think I'm missing something. You said that you were informed that Mr. Matlala would be coming. Would it be okay?
Yeah, somebody would say, look, would you mind, do you want to come? And his wife is here, he wants to come. Do you have a problem? At that point in time, I'm not sure whether I responded at the same time or not, but I did give consent that he can come.
Okay, and so how long was he there for?
I never sat with Cat, not even for a moment. So I can't say how long was he there for. All I know is that I did bump into him, and then not more than an hour they were gone.
Okay, so he was socializing.
If you want to call it socializing, I can't help it, man.
Yes, I mean, you did say it was a small gathering. It was only about 20 people.
Yeah, it wasn't for adults. It was for my son engagement.
I think, General, you should have a look at your statement on this. Sorry, it's the statement from this morning. Because your version there is a little different from what you're saying now.
That's at 22.
22, thank
22.
you. Thank you.
Page 6, General, paragraph 22.
Paragraph 22.
Yes. And your version here, maybe you want to read
Should I read it? On 14th...
Can you read from 22, until the end of that section?
On 14 September 2024, my wife and I hosted a surprise engagement celebration for my son and his fiancée at our residence. The gathering was intimate in nature, attended primarily by close family and friends. A limited number of senior officers from head office were also invited, including Major General Tema and General Sintumule.
111.
Now, I don't know. Earlier, the chairperson said to me, "You were quick to correct some of the things, and in some you keep quiet." I didn't invite General Tema. She was already on pension, and then she's a close friend of General Sintumule. General Sintumule came with General Tema, and General Tema is a close friend of Ms. Matlala's wife.
Okay.
Must I proceed?
Yes.
I placed on record that I did not invite Ms. Matlala to the event, nor did I initially invite Mr. Matlala. Mr. Matlala attended the function on the invitation of General Tema. She arrived earlier in the course of the event. As the afternoon progressed, General Tema informed me that Ms. Matlala had consumed alcohol and was hesitant to drive herself home. I was conveyed that she wished for her husband to collect her.
Continue.
Must I continue? It was only that stage and in those circumstances that Mr. Matlala attended the event for the limited purpose of collecting his wife. I paused to mention that I also communicated with Sergeant Fanninkosi and advised that he could convey to Mr. Matlala that he was permitted to attend the residence, given Sergeant Nkosi's close acquaintance with him. Sergeant Nkosi had been assisting me with certain logistical arrangements relating to the event during the course of the day. At the time in question, he was briefly attending to a personal errand. It was in those circumstances that Mr. Matlala attended the residence. His attendance was limited in duration. While he entered the home and briefly socialized, this was incidental to collecting his wife. He remained for no more than approximately an hour before they departed.
Okay. So when you communicate with Sergeant Nkosi to make a turn, you don't say to Sergeant Nkosi, it doesn't indicate to Sergeant Nkosi that you are giving permission to collect his wife or that there's an issue that his wife can't drive or anything like that. Why is that? How are we to interpret that? Because it doesn't sound like somebody who you're saying, you need this permission to come. 111 of that same file. Hold on.
Page 111.
Yes. Actually, sorry, that's the wrong page. Can you please go to... Actually, no, I do want to take you to page 111. What I want to show you on page 111 is a series of calls between Mr. Nkosi and Mr. Matlala. And you'll see at 1911, you'll see at the bottom of the page of 111.
Yeah.
Right? Mr. Nkosi calls Mr. Matlala. Okay? So there's an exchange between the two of them at 1911 in the evening on the 14th of September. Now I'd like you to go to page 364 of the same.
Just to ask, Chair, this page that we just dealt with, what is the specific question related to it, so that when you go to the next one, I'm going to respond on
No,
that.
you've got to see them together, so we'll go there.
These are just calls, ne?
It's just a call, yes.
Yeah, so which page? Next page?
Yes, so now I've asked you to go to 364.
On it,
Okay.
now we are moving from, the 14th of May, the 14th of September to the 13th of September.
No,
yes.
no, hold on. The relevant chat, we're going to begin on chat number 2. So it's 14 September.
Yes,
Now, this is a chat between you and Mr. Nkosi, okay?
yes,
Right. So we saw 1911, the call, but hold that in the back of your mind. Here we've got 1907. You send Mr. Nkosi a message saying back ? And he responds 2 minutes later. He says, "Just arrived now, General, dropping this gogos, then coming to you." And then at 1910, chat number 4, you respond and you say, "Ask Cat to make a turn." Okay, that's at 1910.
yes,
And then we saw at 1911, Mr. Nkosi called Mr. Matlala. That's at page 111. Do you recall?
I do.
And then he comes back to you at 1911 and 14 seconds with a message. "I spoke to him earlier. He promised to come around 8. Okay? And then at 1912, he says he will be there in 30 minutes. Do you see that?
Yes,
Right. So this is you asking Mr. Nkosi, Sergeant Nkosi, to communicate with Cat, as you call him, and you ask him to make a turn. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how is it you refer to him as Cat in September 2024? Is it not because by then you've established a relationship with him that you can use a term of familiarity?
no, I think whether we like it or not, this is how he's known. Although officially speaking, we have to call him Mr. Matlala when we are addressing, as we are addressing. But he was known as Cat. He's known as Cat. So it's not a question of familiarity, because there are certain names that you can call where you call a person name and surname. But there's another one that you can call that is known with a particular name. Unfortunately, that's how it is.
So you say to Sergeant Nkosi, ask Cat to make a turn, and you know that he will convey that message. It's not unusual for him to be asked by you to communicate with Mr. Matlala for the purpose of inviting him to your house. This is not unusual.
Yes.
He says, "Yeah, that's fine. I know what you mean by Cat," and I make the arrangement. And he then proceeded to make the arrangement.
Yes.
Okay. So why is it that you wanted Mr. Matlala to come to your house?
Look, what happened is that I think it is, at the time it was my son's engagement. And we didn't have many people there. I think it was something like 20 people. And it was mostly my son's friends and the fiancé's friends. So the people that I had invited there was General Sintumule. Because I worked very close to General Sintumule, and we had a very good relationship with General Sintumule. And General Shibiri was coming back from China. I also asked him, called him and said, hey, I'm here and this is what is going, because I was alone. I didn't invite my friends because it was not about me. Now, as they were there, there was also, General Sintumula didn't come alone, came with General Tema. General Tema was the former head of the college, who is a very close friend of Miss Matlala, Cat Matlala's wife. As you can see, even in General Sintumula's own statement now, the supplementary statement that she just submitted, where she says she was introduced to a lady as Miss Matlala, then later was introduced to Mr. Matlala. Now, one of them asked me and say, Mr. Matlala want to make a 10 because his wife is here. He must come fetch his wife. Do you mind? And then I didn't say I don't mind. The way I responded, it was after quite some time because I don't remember in what context it happened, but I then sent that message that said, Cat to make a 10, because remember, at that point in time, Chair, like the former Minister Bekela said, the eyes then that looked at Cat are not the same eyes that look at him now. There was nothing wrong at that point in time that we could say there was a problem that we know of, that the man was under investigation, or he was just one of the people that we were used to. And me, in my case, I was getting used to him, but he was not my friend. So that's why I say I wrote that message and say, Cat, to make it a 10 to me, it wasn't really a big deal.
So when you said ask Cat to make a turn, it was a friendly invitation for him to join you at the celebration?
Not necessarily an invitation, but because of the fact that to me, I thought they first wanted to check whether am I comfortable or not, because there were not many people invited. I then said, no, ask her to make a turn.
Okay, so it is an invitation.